I'm delighted to welcome now another special guest, Roshana Panda, Director of Corporate Communications South Asia for GE. It's a huge job. Roshana will go into the detail of it. It's a huge job and a huge region. And I'm sure that means quite a lot in terms of where some countries are in using measurement versus others. But Roshana will share that story with us.
Thank you, Barry. It's an honor to be here and to be a part of this August gathering. I'm going to bring a little twist to our discussion today. Actually, when Nick talked about empowerment and more resources in the region, it made me really happy. Because it is the regions which actually execute a lot of actions that the corporate decides. So I'm going to bring in the regional flavor from the South Asia region, which includes India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. Some of these countries, like India, are more advanced when it comes to evaluation and measurement. The others are learning, and we need your help to be able to evaluate stuff out there and to monitor more stuff there. I work for a company which is present in 170 countries, 300,000 employees, more than 8 businesses. So imagine the type of measurement matrix that actually operate. We have daily, monthly, weekly, minute by minute, seconds monitoring flowing into our newsrooms. Now, what is relevant? And what's relevant to my region? How do I integrate these to arrive at a standard which is understood in various regions and where I can say this is how I'm performing? That was the challenge. Around 2011, we started putting the puzzles in place. So cracking the code. We had a global matrix working very well. But what a global matrix of use if it is of no use in the regions where execution, where actual business takes place? I work with these 6,000 engineers. I work with 300,000 employees. And in my country, only we have 6,000 engineers and 15,000 employees, which means, and I have CEOs of 6 to 8 businesses who understand only numbers. It's very interesting to talk about what communication does within the organization, but when it comes to measurement, we are obsessed about measurement in GE. We love talking numbers. We do, even for internal communication, we do excellent measurement. We have excellent measurement matrix. We do opinion surveys. We do reach. We do a lot of other stuff internally. But externally, this is how we are teamed up globally. We have 3 parameters: innovation, where the corporate leads the innovation in terms of brand and marketing stuff. And at the regions, communication also holds the marketing and the brand piece, which means advertising piece, not the market intelligence piece, because that's a different team altogether. We have storytelling, which is where the regions or the businesses throw up stories to add on to the larger, bigger communication strategy. And reputation, we actually do a lot of social listening, a lot of real-time listening from various parts of the country or the region. Sorry. At GE, at the regional level, we are more inclined towards the outputs and moving towards the outcome piece of communication. We have started talking about, at the region, which is a country like India, we are more outcome-based because we have real metrics going on. But in a country like Bangladesh, we try to talk about outputs and start measuring and mapping them to the outcomes when it comes to the communications plan for the year. At the global level, we map out all these outcomes across different countries and have standardized a matrix where we can evaluate and measure our success across different countries. At every stage, at around, for regions, we would do it quarterly. For different worldwide countries, we would do it at a 6-monthly basis. And every communicator actually knows whether we are in line with the plan that has been outlined at the start of the year. Now, how have we standardized this? We've actually started working towards a plan around the 3rd quarter of every year. We set up a plan for the next year. We have all the businesses from different corporate level and the businesses pooling in to give in our priorities for the year. For example, aviation would say, these are my clients, this is the location, these are the business opportunities we're mapping for the year, and this is what we expect out of you. And then we would have this mapped into the regional priorities. For example, in India, I would say there are 4 or 5 businesses which I would prioritize for the year. It could be energy right now, which is more renewable. It is healthcare, and you could see it in all our communication assets. Then we would go to aviation and transportation. And in some countries, we would have technology centers, so we would start talking about the technology that we are coming up with. And that's how we would standardize it across the various countries and then start engaging with our audience accordingly. And this doesn't work only at the regional level. It is teaming up with the business and the corporate. We have a COE, which is the Center of Excellence, and every region has a representative at the COE, which means the PR COE is extremely active. Every week, we get to know the media movements across the world. Different countries would actually feed in information to the COE and the PR activities across the world. So if there is something going on in Latin America, which is of relevance to me in India, I would pick up that news and extrapolate it. We actually pick up 20 media, top media from each country to do our global mapping and measurement. We would love to go down to the vernaculars and the tier 2, tier 3 markets as well in terms of our regional monitoring, but at the moment we're not able to do so. So there's a gap there, and we'll come to that point. When it comes to narrative piece, we are very clear in terms of the priorities and the business needs that the business has asked for, and we would try linking our stories to them. When it comes to the risk piece, our endeavor with all the social listening we do, all the real-time monitoring we do, is to ensure that issues do not turn into crisis. And we have ROCs, which is the region for regional operating centers for crisis management. And every BRIC country would have that. So we do a lot of listening to be able to ensure that we contain the issues. And matrix. Right now, we've not been able, I wouldn't say we have 100% cracked it, but we are on the way, where we say that if somebody from a different market, for example, Vietnam, or even from the US, is a part of a discussion, they exactly know what we are mapping, what are the priorities, and what are the metrics that we are trying to look at. And as I said, at the local level, we're more into the output piece. We do proactive media monitoring, which means that the mentions of GE would not be a part of the monitoring only. What we actually push as message delivery is what we pick up at the local level. Then we do a lot of understanding of the media in terms of their interests, and plug in stories accordingly. And spokesperson training is a part, of our planning. Then all of these data from different markets, right now 37 markets, is actually fed into a system, and Karma helps us with that, into a global piece which is more standardized and homogeneous across countries. Now where's that I need your help? In a country like India, where the major media is TV, I don't have any perfect or even sensible matrix to be able to measure that. Clearly, broadcast media is out of the measurement. And in a country like India, which is more, we have viewers for TV, we actually leave all of that coverage out. That is a huge issue with us. And then when it comes to the regional media, tier 2, tier 3, vernacular media, we're struggling with it. Most of the companies, and the well-known big companies, are moving towards the rural market, or I must say not really all of them rural, but towards the tier 2 markets, which is the growing population in the country, which is increase in terms of purchasing power. We have no way to be able to map them or measure them. We try to, but very, very few. They're out of the press coverages or the clippings that we would get from very local business partners there. Trade publications, again, we struggle in a country like India. I know in more advanced countries like the US and the Western world, it's easier to be able to get the trade publications because we deal with so many businesses. Right now, we're not able to get the trade publications or the coverage out there in the media monitoring piece. So this is where I think we really need your help. In 2015 in GE, this is what we focused on. We said earned media continues to be the most important part of media, although we play around with the rest of it as well when it comes to paid, earned, social, and owned. We have our own media called the GE Reports, which is not necessarily selling GE, but it talks about stories of different technology across the world. The content piece, when we say paid, a part of it is advertising, which is very, very less. For us, paid is content creation. And we do that. We do a lot of media partnerships in different markets. In India, we do it very strongly. Globally, we do it with BBC and with Economist. We're also looking at National Geographic to be able to push our content, which is created by them and which has editorial autonomy. So measuring them is completely different than how we measure earned. And I know one of our speakers has actually spoken about it, so I'm not going to go into detail. But right now we're in a phase, if we can't measure something, it doesn't matter. We just cannot take it to the table of our CEOs or to our business leaders. They don't understand. They don't see value in it. I'm going to talk to you about a case study which we recently did. In India, we've been in India for last 100 years, more than 100 years actually. And we are known to be a healthcare company or to be in the energy field. But there was one place we wanted to really strike and say, hey, if there is one thing that we want to be known as, it is technology and manufacturing. And that's when we started working towards it. And as I said, public need or the national priority is what we start working on it every year. We started picking up the campaign which was led by the Indian government, by Modi, saying, "Make in India." And that's where we said, we have 6,000 employees, engineers. We have more than 15,000 technologists working for our company. And we have 8 businesses. We have 10 manufacturing sites. Just the right time for us to position that we are one of the biggest MNCs contributing towards manufacturing in the country. And we started curating events across the country in partnership with the government in some, or building up thought leadership platforms with the government. And this actually started where the region was empowered, in the sense most of the people or employees or leaders have the regional empowerment in terms of decision-making across businesses. And leveraging global spokesperson whenever they were in India, we started building that up for the last 2 years. And the final and the biggest event was when Modi came into our facility to inaugurate that. GE was the first and the only MNC where Modi walked into the facility to be able to inaugurate that event, which was on 14th of Feb this year. The surround sound that we did in terms of technology and manufacturing leader, I think really positioned the company very well. We became a thought leader for the industry to be able to say, hey, Indian companies are doing very well and are in a great state to be able to take manufacturing to the next level. But a company like GE and the technology that we bring into the country really, really gets the scale up there. It's adding a different dimension to the campaign of the government. We had more than 100 key media coming in. We had 17,000 people watching it live with their families, the entire event. We were trending on the social piece as well. 67,000 people actually were engaged. And I think it was very important for us, not just the output piece, but what was important today, the government of India actually cites example of GE in all its engagement, in all its platform. At Hanover in Germany, the Hanover Fair, we had the Make in India campaign where we had the Indian officials talk about GE in a country where Siemens rules. I think that's the outcome. And that's the type of impact we could create and take it back to our business leaders. We have a few opportunities which came out of it, very interesting opportunities, haven't really turned into the business piece, but we see a lot of excitement from the leaders. And this is all because we were doing social listening. We were understanding what's happening in the market across businesses. We were able to align ourselves to our strategy to the business need. I think all this was a part and outcome of the good measurement matrix that we could develop over the years. That's it from my end.
Thank you. So moving into questions, let me start the ball rolling. Building on a question that someone asked Alex, what would be the single priority to get measurement established consistently across your region? What have you got to do?
Be clear with the strategy.
Okay.
Absolutely clear with the strategy. And as I heard somebody else say, prioritize. Because everything cannot be a part of the strategy. You have to say, this is what I want to achieve this year. And then everything gets together there.
Hi, Rachna. This is Sarab from the Institute for Public Relations. Great presentation. But since you're talking and your topic of the presentation is from global to local, how much of the metrics that you are developing are global? I know that you are developing metrics which are local and for Southeast Asia, but are you also tracking or also kind of matching it with the global? Because a lot of the global and
Right.
local has to do with the standardization and localization of the efforts that we do.
Yep. So what we do is locally, when we have 22, right now 37 countries, we started with 22, where we have our own matrix, which is at the local level. and we put it all together at a global level to arrive at a standardized matrix. And that's how we are evaluated. So we are told that you're going to pick up 20 top media, and these are the parameters that's on the basis of which you'll be evaluated. And that's what Karma is doing for us across 37 countries.
Okay, thank you. One more question. One more at the back, please.
Hi, Yensun Wei from Microsoft. I have a question about how you guys pare down your media list to the top 20 outlets, particularly in India, where the media market is so vast. I think that India is probably one of the few markets where print publication is probably growing.
Right.
Can you tell me how you narrowed it down to the top 20?
So the 20 is for the global mapping. It is just not possible to have more than that across 37 markets. Locally, we do much more than that. But globally, when we go for the global matrix, it's the 20, and we keep changing that every year, depending on our interests, our business priorities, depending on, suppose Economic Times, as you would know, is one of the biggest publications, and that's for the Business Daily. We would take it for Power. One of our key businesses is Power, so we pick up Economic Times because they do great stories on Power. If there is a publication which takes care of aviation, we would pick that up because that's one of our priority businesses. So it all depends on our strategy and the priority businesses for that year.
We're going to end reluctantly the questions there. The good news is that Roshana is with the summit for the next day and a bit. So thank you very much.
Thank you.